I was so utterly insane, even the system threw in the towel. I had transmigrated into a novel, only to find myself as a secondary female character who obsessively pursued the male lead's best friend. Unfortunately, my pursuit only made him more gloomy and stubborn. Eventually, after he successfully became CEO, he returned to take revenge on me, causing my family to fall apart, and I died in agony. Afterward, he regretted his actions but became even more despondent and obstinate. I was chosen to transmigrate into this world with the mission of saving him. The system suggested I use money to help the still impoverished male lead reach the pinnacle of glory. But if I did that, wouldn't everything just repeat the old plot, making him even more stubborn and dark? So, I still used money. But how exactly would I save him from his darkness and obstinacy? I never thought that being hit in the face with money would be such an insult. Before transmigrating, I had been accepted into university. However, my parents treated me unfairly, pointing fingers and scolding me. Other people's daughters know how to think. They graduate high school and go work at the town factory, helping the family, obediently waiting until they're old enough to marry and bring back a dowry. Who's like you, wasting our efforts raising you? I packed a simple bag, leaving their two fierce faces behind, and boarded a train alone for university. I had to apply for a scholarship to pay tuition, with not a single penny left in my pocket. Fortunately, in the dorms, there was a frank and forthright rich girl. The diamonds on her fingernails alone were equivalent to my entire month's living expenses. I became her errand runner, busy every day buying water and meals. She even casually tossed me clothes and cosmetics she no longer used, and I gladly accepted them. Everyone criticized me for having no dignity, like a dog selling its self-respect for money. But I had calculated everything meticulously. Each time I bought food, I could earn 100 yuan for the errand. Going downstairs to pick up packages or buy water earned at least 50 yuan. The clothes she gave me were all designer brands. Wearing them felt soft and comfortable, a stark contrast to the old clothes in my wardrobe. When a hungry person is given a bowl of gruel, the natural reaction is gratitude and to devour it. No one would scrutinize a few grains of sand in it and make a big fuss. Thanks to her, I smoothly completed 4 years of university and even managed to save tens of thousands of yuan. But Ethan Tate was different. Every time I sent him money, he would accept it silently. Immediately after, he would puff up, complaining about how wronged he was, desperately trying to cling to his meager self-respect. He regretted the money, yet he wanted people to grovel and hand it to him. Truly the type of poor, lowly countryman with false pride. The heavy rain poured down, dispelling the summer heat. I drove back to the villa, struggling to carry the bags inside. In the middle of the living room was a chaotic pile of designer brand boxes, occupying nearly half the space. Coming closer, I could smell the faint scent of leather from the handbags. The smell of real money truly made one happy. The system, seeing me unable to restrain myself and indulging in the pile of handbags, couldn't help but speak up. "Host, please show the male lead some compassion. Keep pestering him, he's suffering from depression just because of love." I froze, then coldly replied, "Is depression from love or from poverty more tragic? I've been dirt poor for 24 years. My depression is probably worse than his. If you keep nagging, my depression will turn into bipolar disorder tonight." The system immediately fell silent. Mrs. Liu emerged from the kitchen. Seeing no sign of Ethan Tate behind me, her expression was displeased, her tone resentful. "Annabella, didn't you drive out to pick up young Master Tate? It's raining so heavily and you've returned alone. What about young Master Tate now?" I looked up at her with icy eyes. I took in every bit of reproach on her face. It was as if young Master Tate was the true owner of this villa, and I was merely a lodger. Ethan Tate was famous for his difficult circumstances, a handsome face tinged with melancholy. Coupled with his faded plaid shirt, standing under the dappled sunlight beneath a tree, he once made my heart flutter. In a school environment, social status differences weren't too obvious. But after leaving school and entering the adult world, everyone had to return to their rightful place. Lacking support, he faced countless difficulties. His career never took off. Adding to that, the girl he secretly admired grew close to the male protagonist, making him even more despondent, his life becoming meaningless. I brought him to live in the villa, preparing the most beautiful guest room on the second floor for him. By now, Ethan Tate had been here for over a year. Throughout that time, he always behaved courteously and gracefully towards everyone in the house. Mrs. Liu carelessly broke a valuable porcelain set. According to regulations, I proposed deducting compensation and her salary. Ethan Tate, sitting nearby, calmly said, "If you can make things easy for people, then do it. They're just a few porcelain cups. Do you need to make such a fuss? When will you get rid of this habit of using money to humiliate others?" Those words pinned me to a post, humiliating me without mercy, making me feel like a truly wicked young lady, laden with sins. He was gentle with everyone else, but with me, there was only coldness and distance. The system was truly ridiculous. It kept wanting me to save a man who only stumbled in matters of the heart. Compared to him, wasn't I the one who needed saving more? I scoffed, since when did a young master appear in this house? Mrs. Liu, whose salary do you receive? Perhaps you don't remember clearly. Her face stiffened. Just as she was about to speak, the villa door opened. Ethan Tate, soaked from head to toe, swept his fingerprint to enter. Behind him was a frail girl with a pale face, none other than the female lead. This hateful guy actually dared to bring the female lead to my villa. The system eagerly replied to me. After the main couple's argument, the secretly infatuated male lead thought his chance had come and immediately brought her home. Back in school, their love was so passionate everyone knew about it. People even called them the most charismatic and romantic CEO and the white flower in the slum. But as they grew up, the story twisted into the female lead becoming pragmatic, wanting to rely on the rich to change her life. As for the charismatic CEO, he had inherited his family business and needed a capable wife. Their love was too fragile, unable to withstand any storms. One refused to humble herself, while the other demanded equality. After an argument, the girl angrily turned to the male lead as a backup plan. Ethan Tate was overjoyed, thinking he had finally seen the light. He eagerly rushed out into the heavy rain to bring her back. Worried about him, I reluctantly drove to pick up both of them. Ethan Tate frowned, looking at me. "Annabella Ha, why didn't you answer your phone? You know I waited for you all afternoon and you didn't show up. I almost caught a cold, didn't I?" So, my new name was Annabella Ha. It sounded precious and beautiful, 100 times better than Zia Jayadi. This name kept repeating in my head. I truly liked it. Mrs. Liu, the ever-attentive housekeeper, quickly brought 2 dry towels. She turned to scold. "That's right, Miss Ha. Why did you come back alone and with so many cumbersome things?" Ethan Tate saw the countless large and small bags strewn across the floor, and his face darkened. "Annabella Ha, do you really have to flaunt your rich girl attitude? Just because you have money, you can do whatever you want, spend lavishly like this for whom to see? Why won't you change this bad habit?" Every time I spent money, Ethan Tate would show annoyance, scolding me loudly, as if I were spending his money. To get closer to him, and also to preserve his fragile self-respect, I hadn't bought new clothes in a long time and rarely went to fancy restaurants. Even so, Ethan Tate often complained, criticizing me for being extravagant. I frowned, my eyes fixed on him. "My spending my own money, what does that have to do with you? Or have you been here so long you think you're the owner? Do you really believe my assets are yours?" Ethan Tate's face suddenly turned pale. These words were too bitter, as if pulling out his cheap self-respect and trampling it mercilessly. The old me always cared about his dignity, weighing every word carefully, afraid of displeasing him. His self-respect was both fragile and brittle, needing to be cherished and nourished with money. Mrs. Liu was about to speak up for Ethan Tate, but I waved her off, interrupting. "Mrs. Liu, you're fired. Pack your things and leave immediately. Also, the porcelain vase you broke will be deducted from this month's salary." She exclaimed in surprise. "Miss Ha, on what grounds are you firing me? I clearly didn't do anything wrong." Ethan Tate rubbed his forehead, showing his displeasure with me. "Annabella Ha, you've never tasted poverty, so you don't understand how hateful your behavior of using money to oppress others truly is." He was wrong. I had been very poor, truly extremely poor. So poor I couldn't afford a pen, couldn't afford a meal, so poor I had to scavenge leftover food from trash cans. I'd happily shove a discarded dry bun into my mouth, struggling through high school. So poor that when I entered university, the first time the young lady gave me 100 yuan for running errands, I held that red bill, tossing and turning all night with joy. But I knew no poor person was like him, accepting money from others while turning around to insult them. "Fine," I said, looking straight into his eyes. "She can stay. From now on, her salary will be paid by Mr. Tate." The words Ethan Tate was about to say caught in his throat. He pressed his lips together, not uttering a sound. He couldn't bear to spend the money. Even though I had transferred so much money to him, he used it either to buy things for the female lead or nothing for himself. I hadn't even received a small thank you gift from him. As the housekeeper dragged Mrs. Liu away, she was still sobbing, crying, and admitting her mistakes, begging me for another chance. Sophia Cayo, standing behind, subtly bit her lip. First, she cast an admiring glance at the designer handbags scattered on the floor. Then she timidly tugged Ethan Tate's sleeve, looking anxious, uneasy, and feigning innocence. "Ethan, Annabella must be angry because you brought me home. Perhaps I should leave." With that, she hunched her shoulders, feigning fright, and turned to leave, but Ethan Tate firmly gripped her hand. "It's late and it's raining so heavily outside. What if you run around and get sick? Stay here tonight. I'll take you upstairs to shower first." With those words, he brushed past me, intending to lead Sophia Cayo up to the second floor. Ethan Tate's room was the largest guest room on the second floor, fully equipped with a toilet and dressing room, and cleaned daily by the maid. I quickly spoke up. "Wait." Ethan Tate impatiently turned back. "Annabella Ha, I advise you to be sensible. I don't have time to argue with you. The person I love has always been Sophia. I only see you as an older sister." I was 1 month older than him, indeed, an older sister. The system interjected at the opportune moment. "Host, why don't you treat him like your younger brother? Just save him a little and then I can complete my mission too." "Ah, what does your younger brother usually say to you?" "What was it?" I seemed to see Arthur Ha aggressively pulling my hair, his chubby face magnified infinitely before my eyes. I mimicked his tone. "Other people's older sisters get married and bring back dowries for their younger brothers to spend. Why won't you get married?" "If you don't get married, where will I get money to buy a house and a car? I'm going to beat you to death today." The system fell silent again. My eyes were bloodshot. Ethan Tate's face and Arthur Ha's face gradually overlapped. Hatred enveloped me. I grabbed the vase in my hand and violently threw it towards him. It didn't hit him perfectly. Sophia Cayo's piercing scream rang out as the vase shattered into countless fragments at Ethan Tate's feet, scattering everywhere. Startled, he quickly recoiled, shielding Sophia Cayo. His face was grim as he said, "What are you crazy about? Go apologize to Sophia right now, or I'll move out of this villa tonight to satisfy you." That threat made me laugh uncontrollably. I pointed to the wide-open villa door and replied, "Fine, then go, and don't forget to pay back a year's rent and all the money I transferred to you." Outside, the rain was pouring down. Ethan Tate was stunned, as if struck by lightning, his hands clenched into fists. His face made no attempt to hide his hatred for me. What did he hate me for? Thinking about it, I had done quite a few things for him to hate. Did he hate me for giving him money? Hate me for letting him stay in the villa? Or did he hate that I helped him build his career? Or perhaps he hated me for using my connections to pave the way for him. After a moment of silence, I heard Ethan Tate grind his teeth. "Annabella Ha, remember this clearly. As soon as I walk out that door, I will never come back." This kind of scare tactic had never worked on me. I leisurely replied, "Oh, and I'm supposed to wish for a parasite like you to return, am I?" His face turned ashen. I had never spoken such harsh words to him before. Sophia Cayo couldn't help but speak up in his defense. "Annabella Ha, what right do you have to humiliate others with your wealth? Ethan will definitely succeed. He won't be inferior to anyone." Ethan Tate would naturally succeed. In the original novel, I had painstakingly helped him open a company, build his career, using all my connections throughout my life to pave his way. With such a wide-open path, he would naturally have smooth sailing, facing no obstacles, easily acquiring a massive fortune. But now, he no longer had my assistance. Ethan Tate was now a man with nothing, yet still clung to his brittle pride. With Sophia Cayo, a woman who always dreamed of marrying into wealth, would she be willing to stay by such a useless man? Ethan Tate gripped Sophia Cayo's hand, slowly leaving the villa, seemingly hoping I would hold them back. Even after their figures disappeared behind the slamming iron gate, he was still immersed in the illusion of my regret, only to be struck by the harsh reality. His face clearly showed his astonishment, standing bewildered outside. Inside the villa, the system scrutinized my bloodshot eyes, timidly suggesting, "Perhaps you should see a psychologist. Your current state is even more frightening than the lovesick male lead sitting opposite me." The psychologist, holding a stack of fully completed health examination papers, procedurally asked, "Miss Ha, in your opinion, what is the main reason you cannot control your emotions?" I leaned back in the chair, coldly replying with a single word, "Poverty." As soon as I finished speaking, I jingled 8 large gold bracelets on my wrist, making the doctor dizzy. He gaped, stammering for a moment before persistently asking again, "In your daily life, do you notice any signs of obsessive-compulsive disorder?" I thought about it very carefully. I just feel at ease when I buy a lot of things to fill my room, so I don't have to fear falling into deprivation like before. Sometimes I feel exactly like a hamster frantically hoarding food, stuffing it into its belly. The psychologist took off his glasses, rubbed his eyes, trying to avoid looking at the gold bracelets on my hands. He scratched his thinning scalp, then delivered an unbelievable conclusion. "Based on the examination results, you have been living in a repressed and deprived environment for a long time, leading to immense psychological pressure. We advise you to listen to yourself and purchase a few quality items for your home. This may help alleviate feelings of anxiety." My phone chimed. It was a message from my best friend Lynn. "Annabella, the land that academic star Tate was eyeing will be auctioned tomorrow. Let's meet at the auction house." I knew this plot of land had enormous potential for appreciation. I was considering it. If I had money, couldn't I help build more elementary schools, bringing many poor children back to the path of education? Immersed in the vision of a bright future, I felt as though I was returning to the years before I became a secondary character. I, too, once longed for family warmth, once dreamed of a life where I didn't have to worry about food and clothing, a life where I wouldn't have to endure such a desperate, terrible end that I would turn on the gas valve to seek death. I immediately replied, "Yes, I'll definitely go tomorrow." At the bustling auction, I clung to Lynn's arm, repeatedly wanting all 4 small cakes. She seemed displeased. "Didn't you usually complain about wanting to lose weight? Why are you eating so much today?" Then she gently shook my arm. "But I like you a little plump. You're too thin, the wind might blow you away." I forced a smile. "It's not that I'm enjoying the food, I'm just too afraid of poverty. Afraid that after this meal, there won't be another, so I've formed the habit of stuffing my stomach whenever I get the chance to eat." In a moment of distraction, Lynn turned her head as if discovering a new land, pointing behind me in surprise. "Isn't that academic star Tate you were so obsessed with? Why is he with another woman here?" I turned my head to look, and indeed saw Ethan Tate and Sophia Cayo at the auction. I asked the system, "Don't you need an invitation to enter here? How did he get in? Did he win the lottery?" "Host, you once gave him an invitation. He used your name as his girlfriend to enter." Ethan Tate was still wearing the same clothes from yesterday when he was kicked out. Although they had been washed, they hadn't been ironed, still wrinkled, clearly out of place among the elite crowd. He calmly looked at me for a long time, the resentment and impatience on his face slowly gathering at the corners of his mouth, finally forming a knowing smile. As if everything was within his grasp. Perhaps he thought I was here because of him. After all, I had told him about this land many times. I had repeatedly promised to give it to him on his 24th birthday to help him climb the career ladder. When it was time for the land auction, Ethan Tate's expression grew even more smug and arrogant, as if he was sure of victory, which allowed him to be so leisurely. After a few bidding rounds, I spent $300 million to acquire this undeveloped plot of land. The auctioneer enthusiastically presented the bidding contract. "Miss Ha, congratulations on winning the right to develop this land. After completing the signing procedures, this land will be entirely yours." Just as I was about to step forward, Ethan Tate slowly stood up. Before the crowd, he seemed to have regained all the self-respect that had been trampled yesterday. His face showed a hint of arrogance as he turned to me and said, "Annabella, since you bought this land for me, I'll overlook your impulsive actions last night. As long as you apologize to Sophia, I'll move back into the villa tonight. $300 million. He accepted it as a given, without a hint of gratitude, only excitement and self-importance. Ethan Tate never knew that the body he thought he was familiar with had long been replaced by another soul. He would soon realize that extracting money from me was harder than pulling teeth. I remained seated, looking Ethan Tate up and down, smiling outwardly but not inwardly, calmly replying, "Who said I bought this land for you?" Ethan Tate froze for a moment. I coldly said, "Just you alone, you think you're worth a 300 million plot of land. Is your body made of gold?" Laughter erupted throughout the auction room. Lynn tightly gripped my sleeve, tears welling up in her eyes from emotion. "Oh my God, your blind eyes for so many years, have they finally seen the light today? I hope it doesn't relapse later." Ethan Tate under the lights was no different from a clown being scrutinized by others. The shame crushed his pride. He glared at me as if he had just met me. What a coincidence, I really only met him less than a day ago. The system came to me for salvation, but it truly found the wrong person. Someone as dark and mad with poverty as me, I can barely save myself. Where would I find the strength to save a lovesick male lead with his head in the clouds? I'm even darker than him. The whispers and discussions in the auction room reached Ethan Tate's ears, making it clear that he was nothing more than a dependent, living off others. Sophia Caio couldn't help but stand up and ask me, "Annabella Ha, what right do you have not to yield the land to Ethan?" I slightly narrowed my eyes. "Then you spend 300 million to help him." Sophia Caio was speechless. This world was as if the male lead only needed to be a little gloomy and stubborn, and everyone had to protect him no matter what. I'm also crazy, sarcastic, and vicious. Why does no one help me? Ethan Tate's face became grim and cunning. He gripped Sophia Caio's hand, and before leaving the auction, he threw a harsh remark at me. "Annabella Ha, even if you kneel and beg me in this life, I will never return to your villa." The lovesick male lead and his female lead completely disappeared from my life. There was no longer me, the wicked secondary female lead, obstructing them. I thought that by now, Ethan Tate must have achieved what he wanted, and everything should be going smoothly. 3 days after purchasing the land, I walked into a luxury clothing store in the mall. I gently touched the latest design. That soft material truly could soothe the anxieties in my heart. Suddenly, the system in my head let out a deep sigh. I knew what it meant and asked, "What's wrong? I haven't caused any trouble these past few days. Have I calmed you down so much that you're starting to sigh?" "Lovesick male lead is quite pitiful now," it said, kindly showing me Ethan Tate's recent situation. After leaving the villa, Ethan Tate calculated his meager remaining money and rented a room in a slum. In this sweltering summer, the room was as hot as a steamer, but he acted like a victorious general, embracing his lover and speaking sincere, heartfelt words. "Sophia, just give me a little time. I will definitely give you a good life. Right now, I just lack a little startup capital. As soon as I gather enough money, I will certainly build a successful career." In a place he couldn't see, Sophia Caio revealed her disgust for this cramped, squalid environment. Even if she came from an ordinary background, she had once been in a high-profile relationship with the male protagonist. She had lived in luxurious villas, dined at the most expensive restaurants, and stayed in hotels costing tens of thousands of yuan a night. Would anyone be willing to return to humble rented rooms? Someone who had once been loved by a lion would surely only see hyenas as roadside weeds. The system hesitated. How about we help him a little? After all, I need to meet my work quota. If the host doesn't complete the mission, my personal mission completion rate will also decrease. At this moment, I was standing in the fitting room, holding a long, thin silk scarf. Hearing the system, I didn't hesitate to tighten the scarf around my neck, eyes wide, and said, panting, "Go on, say one more word, let me hear it. Do you believe I'll perform a self-strangulation act right here to entertain you?" The system screamed in terror. "Host, can we calm down and talk?" I loosened the silk scarf, changing the subject. "You're right, the male lead is truly pitiful. After all, in this expensive city, even living in a rented room in the slums is costly." The system rejoiced, waving its metaphorical arms and legs. "Are you going to start saving the male lead now?" I picked up my phone and opened Ethan Tate's WeChat. He had left the villa a few days ago but still hadn't unfriended me. His profile picture was still in my contact list. Every day, he posted 3 new updates, flaunting his new love. His last WeChat message was still his eloquent words. I sent a message. Ethan Tate's side almost immediately showed the typing indicator. He typed for a long time, and then a moment later, he sent it to me. Annabella Ha, you're only contacting me now. Don't you think it's too late? Too late for what? It's never too late to collect a debt. I slightly frowned, replying concisely, not too late at all. For the past year, I've transferred money to you, plus the rent. I've had my lawyer draft everything and sent it to your email. Remember to pay on time. The other side suddenly fell into absolute silence. Even the typing indicator was gone. I waited a long time but received no response. Ethan Tate once thought that my giving him money was an insult. Now, when I wanted that insult back, he clung to it, refusing to pay a single penny. Seeing him still not replying, I deliberately sent him Mrs. Liu's WeChat, the former housekeeper. She really liked you, treated you like her own son. She's been fired by me now. If you need a housekeeper, feel free to contact her. Salary is 8,000 yuan a month, free room and board, paid leave, don't forget. Still no response. I held up my phone for the system to see. You see, it's not that I don't want to help him, it's that he doesn't even care about me. What's this called? Ah, right, powerless to help. The system was completely silent now. The land auction went smoothly and was approved quickly. The new project began its preparation phase for construction. To attract more investment, I proactively approached the ultimate villain of this novel. The system initially tried to stop me. Host, he's the villain. Just one step from him and this whole port city would shake. I used reason to persuade it. If I don't find someone like him to invest, am I supposed to find that guy living in the central slum? Stomp his foot and the ceiling downstairs shakes, just to throw money at him. The meeting went extremely well. The soul inhabiting this body before me had to carry her younger brother like a burden and had no knowledge of investment or business whatsoever. I knew my only strength was that before transmigrating, that young lady had once inadvertently muttered to me, "In business, you must know when to let go of small profits, because only when people receive benefits will they be willing to continue cooperating with you." She not only helped me complete my formal education, but also taught me many practical things. Even my driver's license was because that young lady was lazy and didn't want to learn to drive during the summer vacation, so she dragged me along. Because of that, she paid my tuition too. I pondered this matter for a long time and decided to change the profit-sharing ratio in the contract from 4:6 to 3:7. As soon as the contract was signed, I suddenly felt like ordering a few bottles of expensive red wine. Who would have thought that when the dining room door opened, the person carrying the wine in was Ethan Tate? I hadn't seen him in over a month. He was noticeably thinner and much more haggard. If before, during his school days, he carried the melancholic air of a poor man, now he exuded a weary, world-weary charm. His eyes no longer held their previous innocence and lightness. This was the largest bar in the city. Good-looking young men worked here serving wine everywhere. Ethan Tate blended in completely, not standing out at all. He looked up and saw only me and a strange man in the luxurious private room. At first, he was stunned, disbelieving his eyes. After composing himself, he quickly grabbed my wrist, his face dark, and asked, "Annabella Ha, who is this? Why are you here with him?" I kicked his vulnerable spot hard, successfully breaking free from his grip. "I'm discussing business with someone else. Do I need to report to you? Do you think you're my father?" Ethan Tate's face turned pale. He stared at me for a long time, then slowly sighed, as if disarmed and forced to surrender, or as if the long-held tension had finally been released. He slowly said, "Annabella, you won. You knew I worked here, so you intentionally brought someone else to provoke me, didn't you? For over a month, you deliberately didn't contact me, wasn't it to see who I loved? Finally, as you wished, I have to admit I love you more than Sophia now." He closed his eyes as if trying to discard the past, or perhaps he was reluctantly stepping into a new life. "Annabella, I promise to come back to you and end all contact with Sophia on one condition. You must transfer that land to me first, and then we will agree on 3 things. First, you must cancel the debt list you sent me." Immediately, I realized the risk of losing money was imminent and frantically interrupted him. "You want the land, and you also want my money? Are you out of your mind? I could understand you wanting me to waive the debt, but you also expect me to lavish you with gifts and return resentment for your kindness. Is your brain filled with water?" In this novel, I had dedicated more than half my life to nurturing Ethan Tate, helping him become a powerful rising figure in Hong Kong. As soon as he gained a foothold, he sought to acquire the Ha family company, kicking my entire family off the board of directors. Not only that, he colluded with other companies to jointly destroy my parents' budding careers. From then on, the Ha family had no chance to rise again. My parents also quickly died of disappointment. Men and women think completely differently. When men are in love, they often only spend a small amount of money to support the woman, like raising a bird or a cat, but never foster her abilities so she can stand on her own. Women only receive a little money, and their only option is to apply beautiful makeup to adorn the man's glamour. Ultimately, every penny spent on that woman only serves the man. But women are different. When they love someone, they are willing to lead that person into their world, guiding them step by step, helping them gain a foothold, and then watching them succeed more and more, even surpassing themselves. It is then that his true nature is revealed. He turns his back, seeking younger, more beautiful girls, turning that woman into a withered, discarded flower. I had been in the depths of poverty. My impoverished past made me value money more than life itself. No one should ever dream of touching my money. Ethan Tate, do you really want me to speak so plainly? I don't love you anymore. Can you please disappear from my sight and vanish from my life forever? Looking closely, I could see Ethan Tate's lips tremble slightly. Even at this moment, he couldn't believe that I could suddenly stop loving him. The love before was too deep, too intense, so much so that he was completely immersed in it, believing that affection would never fade. No way. He looked straight into my cold eyes. How could you stop loving me? Annabella, you're just angry with me, aren't you? Just because I'm poor, you couldn't believe a rich young lady like you would love me, so you repeatedly tested my limits to prove your eternal love for me. Now I know for sure you truly love me, so let's not argue anymore. Can we go back to how we were? He pleaded, his eyes glistening with tears. Love is a luxury that only the wealthy can bestow. I had only been in the book for a month, suddenly rich, and couldn't give him that luxurious affection. Asking for love from me was truly futile. The person who could give him love was no longer there. His eyes were fixed on me, hoping to find the rekindled flame of love. But after searching for a long time, he found only overwhelming coldness, complete unfamiliarity, and wariness. If he hadn't deliberately appeared before me, I might have forgotten the face of the lovesick male lead in this book. You're right, how could a rich young lady like me love a penniless man like you? Now you've proven it, so can you leave now? Ethan Tate's face showed fear. This was the first time I had seen fear on his face. Life in the central slum for the past month must not have been easy. To make a living, he even had to work as a wine promoter in such a complicated place. Ethan Tate forced a smile, as if reassuring himself. No, you loved me so much, how could you suddenly stop loving me? He gripped my wrist tightly, wanting to pull me away. Annabella, let's talk alone for a bit. Come outside with me. His grip was very strong at this moment, just like the calloused hand of my father, who worked the fields all year round. The day I was tricked into returning home, over the marriage issue, I had a fierce argument with him. Finally, he still grabbed my hand, dragged me roughly into the room, and growled, Zia Jayadi, you must obey me. You think just because you got into university, you can do whatever you want? I'm telling you, even if you don't want to, you have to get married. The two events overlapped in my mind. No one noticed my eyes had turned bloodshot. It felt like something was invading my mind. I screamed, grabbed a nearby beer bottle, and mercilessly smashed it straight onto Ethan Tate's head. Crash! He clutched his head, blood oozing between his fingers. His face showed clear horror and pain. He probably couldn't believe that I, who loved him so much, could be so cruel. Tiny glass fragments scattered across the floor. Witnessing this horrifying scene, the villain trembled, shrinking into the sofa, clutching his head, his eyes wide with fear, stammering, "The profit we share is 4, 6. No, 5, 5, 5, 5 is fine. Just hit him, don't hit me. I'll have my secretary redraft the contract right away. Hello, Assistant Dong, quickly print the new contract. Profit share is 5, 5. Damn it, if you don't hurry up, next week will be my funeral." Looking at the chaotic scene in the room, the system clung to me, weeping. "Host, I was wrong. Please call a psychologist quickly. I will never let you save this damn male lead again." I sat opposite the psychologist again. After filling out a stack of papers, I handed them to him. The psychologist rubbed the few remaining strands of hair on his head. He stared intently at the papers, as if trying to see through them. Finally, he inquired, "Miss Ha, in your opinion, what is the underlying cause of your loss of emotional control this time?" I crossed my arms and leaned back in the chair. Perhaps it's due to similar scenes repeating, bringing back terrible memories, persistent pain like cancer eating into my bones, making it impossible for me to escape. The psychologist seemed to find the crux of the matter, his voice becoming gentler. Can you tell me what you were doing at that moment? I was signing a contract with a partner regarding the 300 million plot of land. Originally, the profit-sharing agreement was 30% for me, 70% for him, but he insisted on 50-50. According to calculations, my partner will have to pay me at least 200 million in interest. The last few strands of hair on the doctor's head were completely gone. He vigorously rubbed his face, took a deep breath, then offered his current diagnosis. Based on what is reflected in the health report, it's likely due to traumatic memories flooding back. Otherwise, perhaps you could try to avoid repeating similar situations. For instance, try to reduce the opportunities to earn that 200 million. His voice was weak and helpless. I didn't want to casually nod in agreement, but I still tried to remember the first part, to make an effort to minimize the recurrence of haunting scenes. I retrieved the discount list I had sent to Ethan Tate and reduced an amount for hospital fees. After all, the wine bottle had injured him, so compensation was necessary. I asked the system, how much should one compensate for injuring someone's head? It depends on the severity of the injury. If it's minor, around 20,000 yuan. If severe, several 100,000 yuan is common. The devoted male lead was still alive, which proved the injury wasn't serious. I generously crossed out 20,000 yuan, then sent him the debt note for 10 million. That was very fair. When Ethan Tate called, I quickly hung up and blocked his number. Having completed everything, I breathed a sigh of relief when Lynn called. Annabella, want to go shopping? I have some juicy gossip about academic star Tate. Lynn's voice carried a hint of schadenfreude. At the designer store, she donned the latest handbag and the most luxurious outfit, then scoffed. Ethan Tate had no money to pay his debt, so he asked Sophia Caio to sell her handbags and jewelry. After a fierce argument, Sophia Caio decided to pack her things and leave, returning to her ex-boyfriend. In this story, the main characters would reunite once again, continuing their tumultuous love story between a wealthy CEO and a poor girl from the slums. As for me, who was supposed to wholeheartedly help the lovesick male lead, I now firmly drew the line and continued my life as a rich young lady. As a result, everything returned to the starting point. Only Ethan Tate stood still, both the love he gave and the love he received slipping through his fingers like sand. Ethan Tate had fallen in love with Sophia Caio at first sight in school, a love stemming from a silly reason. The impoverished male lead, broke as a joke, felt utterly despondent when he couldn't afford a simple meal in the school cafeteria. The female lead saw this and generously paid for him. From then on, the seeds of love began to sprout. Therefore, even if I later gave Ethan Tate 10 million, it couldn't compare to the 20 yuan the female lead accidentally helped him with back then. I angrily went shopping for handbags. 10 million wasn't worthy of the male lead. He only deserved a 20 yuan bowl of rice. If he liked it, he could slowly enjoy that shabby bowl of rice for the rest of his life. I thought I would never have a chance to meet Ethan Tate again. On my way back to the villa after saying goodbye to Lynn, I unexpectedly saw someone squatting despondently outside. It seemed he had been waiting for me for a very long time. It took a while for me to reluctantly recognize him. It was Ethan Tate, the proud male lead of yesteryear. When he saw my car, a glimmer of light flashed in Ethan Tate's eyes. He cautiously called out, "Annabella, you blocked all my ways of contact. I truly had no other choice but to come here and wait for you." He no longer had his former arrogance. There was even a faint scar on his forehead. A difficult life had etched a few sorrowful lines on his face. I suddenly remembered the psychologist's advice, trying to control myself to avoid reliving scenes that caused me pain. Ethan Tate always evoked the most profound, painful memories in me. By reflex, I avoided him, intending to return to the villa. Ethan Tate hastily tried to reach out and hold me back, but remembering the beer bottle incident half a month ago, which had split his head, he froze. Instead, he stood in front of me. "Annabella, I know I've done many things in the past that caused you suffering. I blame myself for not understanding my own heart until now. Your family background is too good. I always felt I wasn't worthy of you so I wanted to test how deep your love for me was." His words were extremely earnest, his eyes even glistening with tears. I give you one step back. He treated this relationship like crystal, repeatedly trying to measure its durability by increasing pressure. What was that called? Testing love. Was he sick to play such games? And just as he wished, the crystal shattered. When the test result was as he desired, he was not resigned and insisted on putting it back together as it was. But he didn't expect me not to follow his will. So everything between us had completely ended. Actually, testing love is an incredibly foolish thing to do. The system tried to make one last plea, or shut up. Why should I be forced to take what the female lead doesn't want? The system fell silent. Horror was clearly visible on Ethan Tate's face. He still couldn't believe I had fallen out of love with him, and even less could he accept that someone who had once loved him so deeply now regarded him as a stranger. For too long, he had maintained a fragile balance. Taking money from me, giving love to Sophia Cayo, he was ambitious enough to want both. But in the end, all his efforts came to nothing. I walked past him, intending to continue back to the villa, when Ethan Tate suddenly knelt before me. Tears fell from his eyes and he choked out, "Annabella, you're lying to me. How can you not love me anymore? You loved me so much before, how could you suddenly stop loving me?" He collapsed to the ground, tears blurring his vision, preventing him from noticing my eyes were slowly turning bloodshot. The moment I gently turned on the gas valve, my mother also simultaneously knelt on the ground, using filial piety to coerce me. "Annabella, I have poured my heart into raising you to adulthood. This time, can't you think of your family a little? You're 24 years old already. Girls your age in the village have long settled down, but you are always selfish, only thinking of yourself and not caring about your family. I beg you, I plead with you, please get married, bring back a dowry to help your younger brother." She repeatedly kowtowed hard to the ground, as if by doing so, I would become a sinner, a lump of clay easily molded by her moral strictures. This time, Ethan Tate also knelt before me. His face gradually merged with my mother's emaciated figure. I hated my mother even more than my father and brother. I resented her weakness, hated her for wanting to drag me into her old rut after enduring so much hardship. And I hated even more that she used her cancer to trick me into coming home. The once pitiful and oppressed person had now become a devil, dragging others into the mire. The red in my eyes grew darker, past and present mingled. In the moment rationality was submerged, I grabbed Ethan Tate's hair, slammed his head hard onto the floor, and screamed maniacally, "You like kowtowing, don't you? Go ahead and kowtow to your heart's content today. Even if you die today, I will not obey your arrangements. I will not trade my life for a dowry for my brother, nor will I turn myself into a delicious meal for you all to pick apart." By the end, I could no longer distinguish who was in front of me. It wasn't until the housekeeper dragged my out-of-control self into the villa that I gradually regained some clarity. I turned to look at Ethan Tate. His forehead was covered in blood. That was good. From his desperate eyes, I realized Ethan Tate had fully understood the truth, that I not only didn't love him but hated him to the bone. When the psychologist came for the third time, most of his hair had fallen out. This time, he didn't ask me to fill out the questionnaire. He said, "That method is useless." The doctor decided to give up, frankly asking me a question. "Miss Ha, every time you lose emotional control, is someone there?" I thought carefully for a moment, then replied, "It's Ethan Tate, he's always present." The psychologist slammed his hand on the table and yelled, "The root of the problem is him, damn it, that cursed jinx. Stay far away from him when you see him in the future. It's best to keep a 10-meter distance, and I guarantee you won't encounter such things again." Truly a divine doctor, a true second Huechuo. He prescribed the correct remedy immediately. I had an epiphany, gratefully seeing the doctor off and engraving these instructions in my heart. My future life would absolutely not allow that lovesick male lead to come near. The land I bought was being developed vigorously. What I found confusing was that the biggest villain in the book, every time he met me, had 2 bodyguards following him and always maintained a distance of 3 meters from me, not daring to come closer. Clearly, the book described him as a cautious, always rational and sober CEO with extremely ruthless methods. The description was somewhat different from reality. He must be regretting having split the profits 50-50 with me. And rightly so. After I bought the land, I had no money left to start construction. He partnered with me, investing an estimated $400 million, but his shares were equal to mine. No wonder he regretted his previous decision. At this very moment, I felt like I was the biggest villain. I frequently visited the construction site to check on the progress, while Ethan Tate lingered outside my villa, but I didn't see him. After a long time, I found his whereabouts. He had also started guarding the construction site. I treated the psychologist's words as gospel truth and hired bodyguards. From afar, seeing Ethan Tate, I would have someone chase him away. Even from a distance, I could hear the lovesick male lead's shouts. "Annabella, I just want to say one thing to you. Please give me just 1 minute." I pouted in disgust. A 700 million project was right before me. How could I have time to talk to this jinx? Lynn disdainfully glanced at him. "Oh, come on, isn't it just for money? After some time away from your protection, you must now miss the comfortable and pleasant life you used to have in that villa." When he first left the villa, Ethan Tate also harbored hopes of building his own empire. However, his formerly close business associates, after learning of his falling out with me, all ignored him. All the connections he had once been proud of shattered. Holding an incomplete software, he ran around everywhere, but no one cared. Where was the ambition of his previous life now? My lawyer continued to pursue him for a debt of 9.98 million yuan. This amount had been reduced by 20,000 yuan because I had deducted the medical expenses for his head injury. In matters of money, I was always scrupulous, absolutely never taking advantage of anyone, but others shouldn't dream of taking money from me either. Ethan Tate still hadn't paid. At his wit's end, he turned around and sued the female lead to reclaim the gifts he had given her. At this point, the devoted male lead and the female lead completely severed ties. Without me, the wicked secondary female lead, interfering between them, the two argued fiercely, even going to court. Their past love had vanished into thin air. After their breakup, Sophia Kaio humbly became a little canary beside the male protagonist, no longer dreaming of climbing higher. I didn't care. What I cared about was my 9.98 million finally returning. As soon as the shopping mall was completed, the long silent system suddenly chirped in my ear. "Host, I have to leave." The tiny bit of conscience remaining in me flickered. "Sorry, I couldn't help you complete the mission." "Host, my mission is complete." Cheers echoed in my head. It was then that I realized. The system's mission was to save the devoted male lead, helping him escape his gloomy and stubborn personality. And I had done it. The male lead now had no gloom or stubbornness left, only the harshness of life and an empty wallet. He had no time to worry about missing delivery deadlines. He also had no time to be stubborn because he would be lowly rated. He was so poor he no longer had time for cunning schemes or sullen resentments. "Excellent," I praised myself. I succeeded in saving a rogue element of society. When the second investment began to yield profits, I allocated a portion of the earnings to charity for schools in remote areas and created opportunities for disadvantaged ethnic minority girls to continue their education. It had been a long time since I had been able to control myself like this. The haunting nightmares from before transmigrating also gradually faded away. On the day the shopping mall officially opened, I received my first commission. Coincidentally, that was also when I moved to a new residence and turned 26. At my new home, Lynn, the main antagonist, and I had a gathering. During that time, Lynn ordered food online. As soon as the door opened, an unexpected appearance stunned everyone. Ethan Tate stood there. He was carrying food as usual, intending to give it to the maid, but as soon as he looked up, he saw me sitting neatly on the sofa. In that moment, he seemed flustered. Although only 2 years had passed, it seemed as if an entire lifetime separated us. The system exclaimed in shock. He said, "Ethan, I'm dreaming. I dreamed that you helped me build my company, elevating me to one of the rich in Hong Kong. But because of my excessively high pride in my youth, I always thought you giving me money was humiliating me. I repaid kindness with resentment, causing the Ha family to go bankrupt and also causing your death." By the last sentence, his voice was choked and trembling. Perhaps he had dreamed of the original plot of the book. He dreamed of a wealthy and prosperous life, but upon waking, it was all a futile dream. The 4 people in the room each had a different expression. I looked directly into his pained eyes with a cold gaze, not a single ripple in their depths. Lynn looked at Ethan Tate angrily, casting a disdainful glance. "Ethan Tate, life has worn you down." He still looked at me with longing eyes. He yearned for me to change my mind, hoping I could love him once more, pulling him out of the mire. Only the biggest villain of the book quickly climbed onto the sofa, clutching his head and shouting, "What are you standing there for? Close the door quickly. Every time Miss Ha sees him, she wants to go crazy. If you don't close it, next week will surely be my funeral." The room door slammed shut. A door that seemed to separate us into two distinct worlds, without harmony, a world that Ethan Tate once disdained. For the rest of his life, he would never have the chance to return. Music.